Okay, we'll start with some prayers. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedant Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane. निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा मुखम करोति वाचालम पंगुम लंघायते गिरिम यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्री गुरुं दीनतारणं परमानंद माधवं कृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरं गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, Haribol. So we'll get started. So this story, this happened. There are two stories. I'll start with the first story. And I really wanted to I've taken this lecture from two very senior devotees of iskcon, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj and His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu. So I really want to recognize them. So the first story, this starts about 100 years back. This happened in about somewhere in 1930s. Okay. And in our country, in this great country of United States, such a beautiful, such a powerful country that it has become, most welcoming to so many immigrants, and such diverse population lives here, and very safe. As you know, it's very safe actually. It's not, of course there is crime, but not as much as it used to be about 100 years back. And this story is from Chicago, okay, where I know Hema Mataji is in Chicago right now, so she will really appreciate this. And I used to live in Chicago, and some of you may know that in Chicago at that time, in about 1930s, there was a lot of influence of mafia. Okay, so the mafia are these like gangsters or these illegal people that are running these illegal outfits or rackets, like drug racketeers, or they're selling or manufacturing illegal alcohol. So they're bootlegging. So many illegal things they will do. Okay, drugs and alcohol was probably their biggest business, but then also um, extortion, kidnapping, and will go to as much as even murders and arson and whatnot. Okay. So and you know that, what extortion is, right? Extortion जैसे हफ्ता लेते हैं ना, हफ्ता आपने सुना होगा इंडिया में कैसे बोलते हैं. So what they do is they go to these businesses, these shopkeepers, and they tell them that if you give us this much amount of money, then we'll allow you to keep doing your business. It's not like tax to the government, because these are illegal people, but they want their illegal businesses sponsored by something. Somebody has to sponsor that. Somewhere the money needs to come. So they will exploit these shopkeepers or these business owners to give them some money, because otherwise, if you don't give us money, then one day we will set your shop on fire or kidnap your son or child, or anything like that. So they will basically harass them, and by hook or crook get some money from them. So this is extortion money, and that money will be used to sponsor their illegal drug trafficking and smuggling and whatnot, making alcohol and things like that. So at that time, one of the main mafia ganglot used to be a guy, which I think you've heard, all of you probably heard his name very famously, was a guy called Al Capone. Okay, Al Capone ka naam sabne suna hoga, I think. So he was one of the very famous mafia, and he was like the gang leader of many small gangs were operating under his shelter. And he was so powerful. He had become so powerful. He had gone so high up in this illegal business that he was almost untouchable. Like, nobody could get to him. The cops, the FBI, the CIA, all these people could not get to him. So they were never able to catch him. There was no evidence ever against him. And nobody, none of his people, would dare to give any evidence against him, because otherwise their family or they will be killed, they'll be murdered. So he was never caught. He was very expert. He had the best skilled people under his employment that would protect him. They would always be ahead of the game, ahead of FBI and other cops and all, and they would always be one step ahead of them. So he would never get caught. Now, in his payroll, Al Capone's employment was this very expert lawyer, very expert attorney, very, very resourceful, very, very intelligent, who would guide Al Capone and who would protect him. He would keep his, accounts and books and things in such a way that Al Capone would never get caught. He was like his right-hand man. And this guy's name was Eddie. And Al Capone used to call him Easy Eddie because he made his life very easy. He made Al Capone's life very easy. In this way, Al Capone, this lawyer, Easy Eddie, okay, had become very powerful and very rich himself, because Al Capone used to pay him really well, because his businesses were being maintained by the help of Easy Eddie. So he would pay Easy Eddie a lot of money. That things that are illegal in this world, it's such a sad state that when you do illegal businesses and things, those things that are prohibited, like drugs and alcohol, these things are always more expensive. And when you prohibit them, when you restrict these things from general use in the society, they are even more valued and people are looking for them. So they actually very enthusiastically look for them and are eager to pay money to get them. So that's why these things were so, get them so much money. And so there was a lot of money in this business. And Easy Eddie had become a multi-millionaire. In fact, he had become so rich that he had this like whole street in Chicago, which he owned each and every house. He had multitudes of cars, variety of different cars, ek se ek badh ke, like the best branded clothes and the best type of watches. And his wife and his kids were living like they were floating in luxury. They had best of everything. They would travel very expensively. They could go to all these vacation houses and plush gardens and best type of most luxurious, most rich type of life that is possible. He was living that life. So in this way, this Easy Eddie was making so much money. He had become the topmost criminal lawyer of Chicago by supporting Al Capone. Okay, is everybody following this story so far? Who is Al Capone and who's Easy Eddie? Has anybody heard this story before?
No, Mataji.
Okay, Nirbhay Prabhu has heard, it looks like. And,
no, Mataji.
Okay, but you're all following the story?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, perfect. So now Easy Eddie, okay, he's the lawyer of Al Capone. He had a son, and his son was about 16 years old at that time. So on his birthday, Easy Eddie decided to buy him a very expensive car. Okay, he bought him this car, very expensive. And the son, and he used to spoil his son. He had sent him to the best, most expensive, elite private schools. He had, everything fancy at his disposal. He just had to put his finger on any school, any university that he wanted to get into, and he could get into that because Easy Eddie was that powerful. So in this way, his son's 16th birthday came and he gave him a car. Now, then he noticed that his son and wife were not very happy. They never seemed very happy. So he asked his wife one day, "What is the reason? You have everything at your disposal. You have all the cars, all the house. It's such a big house. You have so many servants. You travel to the most expensive vacation places. So many things you have. my son is going to become a very rich, successful man himself, just like me. I'm so successful. I'm so powerful. Nobody can touch us. Why are you not happy? You and my son, why are you not happy? He can get into any Ivy League school that he wants to get into. So then his wife told him something that was very, very startling to him. His wife told him that you're right, we have everything. But I see that my son, he, you're right, he's not very happy, and nor am I. He is not very enthusiastic about going to school. He does not get the best grades, even though he has the potential. He doesn't really put in too much work. He doesn't really try for anything. He doesn't really try to develop any skills or talents. He's not trying to learn anything new. He's just like lazy and laying there watching TV and eating whatever he wants, ordering the servants about. And he's not really, he has a lot of potential, but he's not living up to it. And I think the reason that he's doing this is because he does not have a role model in his life. He does not have someone to look up to. He does not have somebody that he can be proud of, whose footsteps he can follow. So he has no inspiration in his life. And when you don't have any inspiration in your life, then you don't have any motivation to do anything. You become lethargic, you become slow, and that's what he and I have become. Because you are supposed to not only supposed to support and maintain us, but you are supposed to be a model for us, a role model for us that we can be proud of. Now we see that you're committing all these crimes. You're helping Al Capone, stay away from the police all the time. You're expanding his business, and you're becoming rich at the expense of so many families that you have broken, and so much of youth that you have destroyed with your drug trafficking and with your alcohol, and so many people that you have helped to, murder. So many families have broken because of you, and we are not proud of any of that. You have exploited others to make money. So we don't look up to you as a role model. People are scared of us. We are not loved. We are not proud of any of this. People are just scared of us. And at that time, Easy Eddie Easy Eddie took it to heart. He was very, very, um, rattled by this information that his son really needs some inspiration in his life, and he does not have that. He has done a big disservice to his family. He thought he was so successful, but actually he's the biggest failure in the life of his son and wife, that he cannot inspire them to do anything big. So so that's we'll come to the biggest lessons from the story, but this is one of the lessons that if we don't give values to our kids, if we don't have imbibe those values or show some values, then our kids, they need a leader. They need to follow in somebody's footsteps. So if you just talk a big game, you're just always trying to preach but never really imbibing that in your life, never really showing with your example, then you're doing a big disservice actually to your kids. And we are all leaders. We are all leaders to our family. We are all leaders to somebody in our life, whether it's our community, whether it's people at our work or people in our homes. We are leaders to them. And so we should have these values that actually Krishna consciousness gives us. That's why we are, we uh, what he was doing was, he was guilty of so many crimes. He had done so many crimes, and his wife and son were always guilty of those things. And we are not supposed to become guilt conscious. We are supposed to become Krishna conscious. So in this way, he had failed to make them conscious of these values because he did not have any of those values himself. He did not have the value of kindness, compassion, mercy, forgiveness. Nothing. He was cheating. He was making easy money, and that's why he was Easy Eddie. And this was actually making his family very, very guilty, very, very ashamed of him. So then when he thought about all of this, he thought, what should I do? I cannot leave the mafia. Mafia is such that you can enter into it, but you cannot leave it. because now you are an insider, especially somebody like Easy Eddie, who was the right-hand man of Al Capone. He had so much information that there is no way he could leave. If he tried to leave the mafia, he would be immediately killed, right? So he thought, what can I do? I cannot leave the mafia. I have two choices: either stay in the mafia or leave. But leaving is not easy. So what should I do? So what he did was, he testified against Al Capone to the cops, actually to the IRS. He testified about his tax evasion to IRS. And he had all the internal knowledge. He knew about all the accounts, the bookkeeping, and he had so much evidence that he showed all this incriminating evidence to the US security services and whatnot. And all this happened in 1930s, and 1931 and 32 was the trial. It's a very famous trial. Actually, there are some movies made on this. And there was the trial of Al Capone. And Al Capone was so powerful that even though they had so much incriminating evidence against him, he had bought the entire jury. So the entire jury was already fixed. It was a fixed match. And Easy Eddie found out about it. He found out that the entire jury is fixed. So he informed the security service, the U.S. Special forces and security services and government, that the jury in this trial is fixed. So they changed the entire jury, and finally Al Capone was prosecuted. There was this trial that went on for a long time, actually. And finally he was convicted of tax evasion and many other things. And Easy Eddie, Eddie gave all the evidence that he had, all the documents, all the proof, all the accounts that he had maintained. And in this way, Al Capone went to the infamous prison of Alcatraz. So Alcatraz is off in the Bay Area in San Francisco. We actually got to visit Alcatraz. It's a very famous prison, which is not functional anymore. It was shut down, but that was such a place that was like an island in the Bay Area, so that it was impossible to escape from. And there are very few that have escaped from Alcatraz, and Al Capone was kept in that Alcatraz. But as you know, Easy Eddie, even though he had testified, and he had been given a lot of protection, he was protected by the US security quite a bit for some time. But ultimately, as you can expect, Al Capone was just too powerful. So just a week before Al Capone was released from Alcatraz, Easy Eddie was going in his car and he was shot down. Numerous bullets from all directions were shot at him, and he immediately died on the spot. So, this was going to be the fate, and Easy Eddie actually expected this. But he had a choice, and this is the second lesson from this story. So the first lesson was that how it is important to give value, something to be proud of, something important to our next generation, to our youth, to our family, to our subordinates, so that they will look up to us as a role model and imbibe those great values. And the second lesson of this story is that we always have a choice. Easy Eddie had a choice. He could either just stay in the mafia and continue the service of Al Capone and live happily. He was always protected by Al Capone. Nobody could touch him. He could enjoy all his life. At the most, his wife and son would have left him, but okay. But he would have lived easily, happily, right? Or he had the hard choice to make. So there was an easy path and there was a hard path. The hard choice was to become the key witness against Al Capone and to uncover all his crimes in front of the whole world and get him arrested. And so he made the hard choice. So at every turn in our life, we get a choice. Listen to your mind, listen to your intelligence, listen to the values that you've been given by our scriptures, by our Guru Sadhu Shastra, and see what is the right choice to make in at every step of the way. It's typically a choice between easy or right. Right choice will always be hard to make. So it always comes down to going the easy route or the hard way. But the hard choice is typically the right choice to make, and right path is always hard. But that's how one can follow the path of dharma. And a path of adharma, path of immorality can be easy, but it's not righteous, it's not virtuous. So that's why at every step do the right thing. So think of, in every case, when you have a choice, should I ask for forgiveness or not? Ask for forgiveness. Should I lie or should I say the truth? In this case, say the truth, right? Use your intelligence and use your values and make the right choice, do the right thing in every situation. So in this case, Easy Eddie did the right thing, but he ultimately had to pay for his crimes and got murdered by Al Capone. So this was the first story. Hare Krishna, Raghu Prabhu and Shravani Mataji. Thank you for joining. We just finished the first story. I think you couldn't hear from the beginning.
No, I wasn't there from the beginning. I just joined 10 minutes before.
I'll give you a quick break.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'll give you a quick breakdown of the first story, then we'll go on to the second story. So
Sure.
the story started in Chicago in 1930s. A very powerful mafia called Al Capone, who was very, very powerful, and nobody could catch him. Police could never catch him. He was always ahead of the game. FBI, CIA, they were always baffled by him. And he had a lawyer, he had an attorney that was always protecting him, and his name was Eddie. And Al Capone used to call him Easy Eddie because he made his life so easy. So Easy Eddie would always protect him. But then, and Easy Eddie had become very, very rich, multi-millionaire by doing all these illegal businesses, by supporting all these illegal businesses of this famous mafia gangster, Al Capone. So Easy Eddie, however, once his wife told him that we are not happy under your care in this house because we don't have a role model to follow. We're not proud of you. We are quite ashamed of you and of all your crimes. And my son does not have anybody to look up to. So he has become lazy. He's very, he knows that he has everything made for him in this life. And so he's not putting any effort. He's not getting his best potential, even though he's capable of so much, but he does not put any effort in anything, whether schoolwork or extracurricular, nothing. He's not showing any of his talents. He's not working on anything because he gets all this easy money and he has easy entry into any of the colleges he wants. So we don't have any proper values instilled in him, of hard work or of kindness or of anything. So you're not proving to be a very good parent, and that's why he's not. We are not happy. And so when Easy Eddie realized that this is the case, my family is very ashamed of me. So he actually had this conversation in his brain that what should I do? Should I keep on in the mafia and just, keep on with the current life that I have? Or should I change my life and take a different path where I get Al Capone arrested and leave the mafia? So he made the choice of getting Al Capone arrested, and he became the key witness in his arrest. And this is a real story. All of you can read about this. This is all online available, and many movies have been made, books have been written about this, how Al Capone got arrested. Because before that, he was not, there was no way to arrest him. There was just no proof, no evidence against him until the inside man gave the evidence. And so Easy Eddie was the insider who gave he became the key witness. He supported them all the way during that prosecution, during the trial that lasted for almost 2 years or so. And finally, Al Capone was convicted. But the problem was that Easy Eddie was now their target, and he was murdered by the mafia, or by the men of Al Capone when he was driving on the street one day. And so this was the story. This was the first story, how Easy Eddie made this choice and got killed. Then we come to our second story, and this story happens many years later. This is a story from World War II. This happens in about 1942. So this is about 12 years later, 13 years later. So World War II, USA also entered the war. I think you know that finally USA had to enter the war, and especially the war was raging more on the Pacific side. So on the side of Pearl Harbor, across where Japan is. So the war was going on in that Pacific Ocean with Japan mostly. Okay, so US and Japan are fighting with each other in the Pacific Ocean. So this was called Pacific War, and is very famous. This is what led to the incident of Pearl Harbor ultimately, and this is what led to the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki ultimately. But in the beginning, it was not, in the beginning, how it started was that the war used to be on the ocean. Okay, so it was mostly carried out by the Navy. Now there was this new ship that both sides had acquired. Okay, these ships were called, these were very huge, very, very huge aircraft carrier ships. Okay, so imagine a huge ship. Okay, and this ship is so huge that about dozen of fighter jets can take off from the ship. So the ship is like a mothership, and from this mothership about 12 to 20 of fighter jets can take off. Okay, to the opposite side to fight in the air. So so this type of ships were used for the first time in Second World War. Okay, and both sides, both Japan and US, both had these motherships, but they were not very many. The motherships were very valuable, and they only had a few. So US, I believe they say that they had about 2 ships at that time on their side, on the US side, but each carrier ship could house thousands of soldiers and about 15 to 20 or 12 to 20 fighter jets on it. So one day there was this big face-off going to happen in Pacific Ocean. The fighter jets from both sides, from Japan and US, were going to take off in the from their mothership and going to fight in the air. Okay, the fighter jets were going to bomb each other in the air, as is the usual fighting strategy. Now, in this team of fighter jets, each fighter jet was flown by a pilot. And there was one pilot whose name was Butch. He was a naval aviator. Naval aviator means somebody who flies these fighter jets from these motherships. So you have to know that in order to fly these fighter jets from mothership, it takes a lot of skill because there is not much runway. So ज़्यादा runway नहीं है, ज़्यादा momentum नहीं gain कर सकते. You just have to fly. So it's a very different type of technology, and there were very few officers that were trained in this. So this pilot called Butch, he was one of the very skilled naval aviator pilot. And that day, dozens of these fighter jets were going to take off from the aircraft carrier ship, and attack the Japanese side. Now, what happened was when these 12 fighter jets from US side took off, okay, they had just taken off when just a little bit further ahead, Butch realized that the maintenance officer who was supposed to fill the fuel in his fighter jet had not done so, because it was a lot of chaos that day, and somehow his fighter jet did not get proper fueling. So there was inadequate fuel in that fighter jet. So he thought, what should I do? I don't think I can make it all the way to Japan side and fight. You cannot keep up a fight in the air because there is not enough fuel in it. So he thought, okay, let me go back to the mothership, fuel, and join the fight. Okay. So he was returning to the mothership. When he was coming back to the mothership, the US aircraft carrier ship, the mothership, okay, he was on his way back. Baki ke sare 11 aage chale gaye. He alone was coming back. To his alarm, he saw that there were about 12 Japanese fighter jets that were just waiting on different sides and ready to attack the mothership. So basically, Japan had changed the strategy. Instead of fighting these 12 fighter jets in the air, they were going to attack the mothership itself. क्योंकि मदरशिप इतना रेयर था कि अगर, और उस पे thousands of soldiers हैं, अगर मदरशिप को अटैक कर दो, if you can attack the mothership and destroy, so many soldiers will die instead of killing just those 12 fighter jets, right, which you may or may not be able to kill. So rather bomb the mothership. So that was the Japanese strategy. They had changed their strategy, and this is what they were going to do. So this was very, genius of them. But what happened was Butch was on his way back to the mothership, and he saw these 12 Japanese fighter jets coming to surround the mothership and bomb it. And he was alarmed. He was like, what should I do? Oh no, what is this? Right? So he has no help right now, and his fighter jet is running out of fuel. So, and now this is a very famous, very famous story. This is also described in books, and you can read about it. So he also had choice. He had a choice. One, he cannot go on mothership because that is going to be bombed. So he can either go to mainland America, because this is on an island. He can go to mainland America and alert the authorities, and they can come to rescue the mothership. But that may take a while, and it may be too late to save the mothership that way. Or he can stand here and fight with these 12 Japanese fighter jets. Okay. So he was in a conundrum. What should I do? If I fight with these fighter jets, I'm gone. Like I'll be killed because there are 12 and I'm just one. But if I don't fight and go to mainland America, then the mothership will be destroyed. So he had a choice. He also had a choice. Either do the easy thing or do the right thing. So of course, if you have proper virtues, proper values, proper ethics and morals instilled in you, then you would always make the right choice, and it doesn't take too long. It's very quick, actually. It comes instinctively to the people that have made this habit of making right choices and not taking the easy path. So it occurred to him instantly that he has to stand and fight. So what did he do? He single-handedly fought these dozen Japanese fighter jets. Wahin par he started fighting with them. Now he is fighting like a crazy madman because he knows that he's gone. He's about to die. So he has no scare. He's not scared of for his life at all. He is going to give it to them. He is going to fight really, really hard. So he was very skilled. He was very talented. So he fought without any fear, without any hesitation. He attacked at them. It appeared to them as if there are like many, many US fighter jets fighting with him. He was bombing them from everywhere. He started bombing them from everywhere. So, these Japanese fighter jets thought that maybe, if this person is here, that maybe there are more fighter jets around. So 6 of them retreated actually and went back to Japan. And 6 of them he destroyed. He annihilated them. With his bombing, he annihilated them. And other 6 retreated. In this way, he was so expert in flying and shooting and bombing that and now he was without any fear. So he not only destroyed the 6 Japanese fighter jets, made the other retreat thinking that, oh, there may be more coming. What's going on here? Because they did not plan on having anybody around. And so this person came out of nowhere and started attacking them, was not part of their strategy. This was completely a surprise to them. So they were taken away by surprise as well. And so they retreated thinking that already 5-6 fighter jets have been destroyed. We don't want to lose all our fighter jets. Let's go back. So the 6 of them retreated. And he was so expert, not only he destroyed these 6, he was able to land expertly on his mothership. So not only he saved the mothership, he made the 6 fighter jets retreat. He bombed 6 fighter jets into the Pacific Ocean, and he landed safely on the mothership. It is said that there was only 1 bullet mark on his fighter jet. They were not even able to touch him. He was invincible that day. Nobody could touch him. So he managed to land. Actually, he was unharmed. He was somewhat injured, but not at least not dead. And so for this act of such unimaginable bravery, he was given a very great honor. It's called Medal of Honor. It's called Purple Heart. So he was given Purple Heart. And he was given many congressional medals and things for this act of courage. So did everyone follow this story? Did you all follow, or was it too confusing about the?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So when this Butch was getting the Medal of Honor, he was asked, "You fought so bravely, you know, I mean, how did you get this type of inspiration? Who or where did you get this inspiration? What is the source of your courage? What is the source of your bravery?" Because this is not seen even in the topmost. Anybody would have just returned to the mainland, to the American mainland. Why did you decide to stand and fight there? 99.9% you would have been killed. What gave you this courage to stand there and fight? So this very famous Butch, the naval aviator pilot, he said that I get all my courage, all my inspiration, all this bravery from my father, whose name was Easy Eddie, whose name was Edward Joseph O'Hare. And this person, this naval aviator officer was none other than the son of Easy Eddie, that 16-year-old who was so spoiled, who was getting all the luxuries, who had no role model to follow. This was the son of Easy Eddie. And Easy Eddie's full name was Edward Joseph O'Hare, and his son's name was Butch O'Hare, from after whom the name of O'Hare Airport was named. So O'Hare Airport used to be called something else before. I can't remember, but that airport was called something else. But after this bravery, because he was from Chicago, the Chicago airport was named after Butch O'Hare, the famous pilot who got this Medal of Honor. And this protecting this, one mothership gave so much like courage to US. US went on to fight aggressively against Japan. So Butch O'Hare ultimately did die actually in the same war. After a few months only, he was in a similar fight, and that time he got killed, and he received more medals. He was probably he's named as the greatest World War II hero of America. Nobody got as many medals as he did. But he said, when he was asked, "Who's your inspiration? What is the source of your bravery?" And he said that Easy Eddie, my father, was the source of my bravery. And you remember that Easy Eddie was the one who had made this right choice. When he was given the choice to choose the easy path or the right path, he had chosen the right path, which was although very hard and led to his murder. But ultimately, he had set such a great example for his son. He had set such a wonderful example for his son that the same son who was going to while away his life, who was going to become such a spoiled, like a spoiled brat, basically, that son grew up to become such a great hero and proved to be an invaluable asset to the country. This is the legacy. This is the values that Easy Eddie left behind. By his example, he showed his son that one must always show bravery. One must always make the right choice, and even in the face of fear, even in the face of loss, even in the face of greatest of the fears, make the right choice. Even in the face of greatest of the temptations, make the right choice. And this particular virtue of making the right choice, even in the face of greatest fear, greatest temptation, greatest loss, making a sacrifice, is called integrity. So this was the example that Easy Eddie had set for his son, an example of integrity. Does anyone know? So there is another word called honesty, and then there is a word called integrity. Does anyone know what is the difference between honesty versus integrity? What are these two values? So you just heard the definition of integrity. You heard two examples of integrity. But what is honesty? Also sounds similar, right? How would you describe the difference? Yes,
Integrity is to make the right choices. Honesty is like when we pledge the honesty to somebody, but integrity is to, even though you're honest, but you have to make right choices. Like the pilot, he had a choice. Either way, he was honest. He could have gone back to the mainland and got the people, or he just went ahead and fought. So this is what I think, that's what integrity is, to make right choices in the face of adversity, in the face of situations.
Yes, Madhuri, yes. So honesty is external. Honesty is what we speak to others, what we say to others about, we are truthful. We are speaking truth to others. That's honesty. But integrity is more internal. It is an inner business. It is an internal business, and integrity matters more than honesty. Integrity is what you are telling yourself. Integrity is your internal, uh, virtues, internal morals and ethics that you're upholding, right? Whereas honesty is being truthful to others. So integrity will lead to honesty, but some people may be honest on the outside but still, may have cheating propensities within. So integrity means to not have any cheating propensities within, to uphold your values, the values that you've been taught, to uphold those in all circumstances. That's integrity. Whether it's, and there are so many examples from our scriptures actually, which showed integrity. For example, one of the example that comes to my mind is the example of Vidura. Even though Vidura was, he was in a, if you think about it, in the similar situation as Easy Eddie. He was in the employment of Dhritarashtra, who was corrupt, who was self-centered, and who could not look beyond the selfish interest of his sons, and just wanted the kingdom at all costs, even if it came at the cost of adharma. Even though he knew that his sons don't have any values, don't have any virtues, don't have any proper conduct, and they are immoral. Even then, he wanted them to get the kingdom. So that was he was very corrupt in this way, very much blind, very much narrow-minded like that. But Vidura was his advisor, was his brother, was his counselor, and he had a very broad vision. He had a spiritual vision. He had all the right values. And he not only told it upfront to Dhritarashtra right from the birth of Duryodhan and the sons, that these, there are bad omens around. These sons will not do, good service to you. They will not be of value to this kingdom. They'll bring a lot of misery to you and to this kingdom. And throughout Dhritarashtra's life, Vidura was always guiding him correctly. And he always had this integrity. He knew what is right and what is wrong, and he was not fearful of speaking it. That's Vidura. That's integrity. And when the time of war came, he was very vocal that we should not, that we should listen to Krishna. We should give these 5 villages. That's all they're asking for. They're not even asking for Indraprastha. They're only asking for 5 villages. We should do this. And Duryodhan insulted him. And at that time, Vidura left, that I cannot, stand here and watch this war happen, which is completely, a destruction of Hastinapur. This will lead to destruction of my brother and of the king, Dhritarashtra, and I cannot watch and stand here and watch them destroy themselves. So he left. He gave all the good guidance, all the good counsel, just like Eddie's wife gave all the counsel to Easy Eddie, but Easy Eddie heard him, right? In this case, Vidura gave all the advice to Dhritarashtra. He gave his spiritual vision. He tried to impart him values, but Dhritarashtra was so blind that he refused to make the right choice. He chose only the easy path. He did not make the right decision. He made the easy, the convenient decision. And that's why this is called Dharma Yudh, because there was immorality. There was there was no righteousness. There was no virtues, no values. There was no there was corruption on the side of Dhritarashtra, and all good values, all good virtues, all ethics, and all proper conduct, and all morals on the side of Pandavas. That's why that's called Dharma Yudh. So we have this type of Dharma Yudh, not only on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but every day actually, when we have to make the right choice. And we can become spiritually blind and turn away from the values, or we can take the hard path and try to show this integrity and take this correct advice of the Guru Sadhu Shastra and follow the path of Dharma. So this is called following the path of Dharma. I'll just stop here for a few minutes, take some more lessons from these stories, and we'll wrap up. But let's hear some reflections. Anybody has any questions about the story or about any lessons they come to their mind? Realizations, reflections, please share. Okay, who hasn't spoken yet?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking that this is a very wonderful story. Thank you for sharing again. And that we cannot just speak. If we are just speaking and not following, then it doesn't have the weight to really make a change in anyone. It has what you are speaking. We should have the acharan also before the prachar, and that is what carries weight. And that is why gurus are acharyas, because they are actually following what they are speaking or telling, and that's why their vani is that beneficial for the followers, because they are actually doing those things. Just like Eddie here, he could have just told his son that do this, do that, and you should, be honest, be this, be that, but that wouldn't have carried any weight because he himself was not doing that. So um, that's why he had to take the difficult choice of actually following the right path, and that is what caused the change in his son. So again, that's for each of us to introspect and make that change, so that when that's why when we go for book distribution, there are people who, like Guru Maharaj, when he goes for book distribution, everybody takes the book. It's like magic, but the reason is because he has integrity, that he actually follows what he speaks, and that's why his word, the soul connects to it. The other soul connects to that. They can feel that integrity. They can feel that truth in the other person, versus if I'm going and talking to somebody, it's not going to have the same impact, even though I may say the same words, or because I am not following as nicely or don't have that much integrity as any senior acharya. So that is what I was thinking. Hare Krishna.
Yes, very nice realization. So basically, not only show the path to others, but also follow the path yourself, right? So do achar and prachar both. And Prabhupada is the best example of that. That's why he always said that purity is the force. So what Nirpay Prabhu is saying, that's the principle of purity is the force. So when you have integrity towards these values, like following the 4 regulative principles nicely, this type of purity, or chanting your names properly, doing your japa with sincerity and intensity, not just telling it to other people, but doing it yourself properly, following the 4 regulative principles yourself properly. So Prabhupada did not compromise on any of these. And that's why he was so pure that as soon as he came in contact with these impure souls, he was able to make such an impact, such a difference. He created such a revolution in their lives because he had the integrity himself. So he actually never compromised on anything. So so yeah, and the other thing that I was mentioning about was that this is what is your legacy? What are we leaving behind? We are not going to be remembered for the money that we leave behind, for our kids, for the cars, or for the house or property that we leave behind. That's very, very temporary. That's not going to make a whole lot of difference in your next generation. But if you really want to change the next generation, if you really want to change the future, if you really want to have the spiritual leaders in the society, then we need to impart these proper scriptural spiritual values, read scriptures with them, give them srimadbhagavatam. That should be your legacy, giving them scriptures, giving them association of devotees, give them Lord's shelter for their whole life, so that whenever there is problem, there is misery in their life, they will have Lord's shelter, they will have bhagavatam, they will have holy names to turn to. They will have, their whole life, they will have scriptures to guide them. So give them the plethora of scriptures. Why are we just leaving behind money and all this for our kids? So what are you really leaving behind for next generation? Give these, morals and values, proper ethics, and they're all scattered within our scriptures. I decided to take these stories that are not scriptural today, just because, just to show you that, how important are these values in a real life, because a lot of times people tend to think that these things happened many years back, and so people were more brave or more ethical in those days and could make these type of decisions. Ambrish Maharaj could bow down in front of Durvasa Muni, and he had that much humility and tolerance and whatnot. But no, we cannot. Things like that people derive when we say scriptural stories. But you can see even a most corrupt person like Easy Eddie could have a son like Butch over here, and impart such values just by one act of courage, one act of bravery. He changed actually the what could have been such a big loss for America, what could have been a battle that they lost in World War II. But actually they went on to win the thing, and his son became the greatest World War II hero. So that's one of the lessons, that's the legacy we need to leave behind for our kids. And always do the right thing. We always have a choice. Like I said, harder choices will typically cause some type of short-term suffering. That's why those choices are harder. The right path is always harder, because it will lead to some rejecting some temptation. It may lead to some amount of fear. It may lead to some amount of loss. It may take us out of our comfort zone. It may lead to some short-term suffering. That's why those choices are harder. Right? And easier choices will keep us in our comfort zone, comfy, cozy, indulge your senses, indulge your mind, indulge your body. Those are easy choices. But the right choices will typically be harder. But making those right choices will make you part of the solution of problems. There are so many problems in this society, and the problems are stemming from the fact that people have a very short-term, narrow thinking. They're choosing their own enjoyment, they're choosing their own comfort, and exploiting or abusing others. Okay, at the expense of other people's suffering, they are indulging themselves, and that is part of the problem. So we have a choice. We can become part of the problem or part of the solution. If you make these hard choices on a daily basis, right, you can become part of the solution. Whereas if you just decide to stay in an enjoyer tendency, it's okay if somebody else is being exploited. Like Easy Eddie, he could have kept on exploiting all these people with the facilitate the drug trafficking and bootlegging and kidnapping and arson and extortion, and keep going on with that. Why do I care if other person is suffering? Why do I care if lesser people suffer when I get to sit on a throne, when I get to become a multimillionaire? He could have continued with that kind of life, but he realized, no, this is not what I'm here for. So, and this is what Krishna consciousness teaches us, that we are not the enjoyer. We need to stop exploiting. We need to stop abusing other people for our benefit. And this is the line of dharma. This is what establishes dharma. So when we say dharma is not established just on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, dharma is established every day in our life, every moment when we make a choice. How we speak to other people, how we engage with other people, whether we show love, friendship, cooperation, or whether we are just abusing them, just whether we are patient, humble, forgiving, kind, compassionate, or tolerant or not, or whether we are abusive and exploitative and all those things with other people. And that's why the 4 regulative principles are based on these. They're called the 4 legs of dharma, because if you think about it, in every situation, in every leg, when we break, we are exploiting somebody. So for example, if you engage in, let's say, meat eating, you're exploiting a lower species, right? You're exploiting an animal who's not able to speak. So at the expense of his body that you're exploiting, you are indulging your senses, and that's somehow okay with you, but that's an easy choice to make. Or you could make the hard choice, control your senses, control your mind, and let it go, let the animal live. Live and let live, ji or jine do, right? But why are people engaging in meat eating? Because it's okay to abuse others. It's okay to kidnap somebody. It's okay to rape somebody because you're exploiting other person's body. So it's okay to exploit somebody who's less who's gentler than you, who's harmless. It's okay to exploit those people, those animals, the women or the older people or the kids. How is that okay? So meat eating, that's one of those principles where you're exploiting somebody that is harmless and cannot retaliate. If you engage in illicit relationships, you are abusing not only your body but the body of somebody else. So you're an abuser of your own body. This will lead to so many, I cannot even tell you the numerous sexually transmitted diseases it leads to domestic abuse, it leads to criminal mentality, so many things. People cheat and lie when they engage in illicit relationships, right? So when you indulge in intoxication, you're again abusing your body. So that ruins your home. You're spending money, you're wasting away money, money that's Lakshmi, that's Krishna's servant. You're wasting it away on something so harmful for the body. It causes so many cancers, and your mind and body becomes dependent on the alcohol. But you're abusing your own body and the body of others, and that's basically the abuse of this material nature, material elements. Gambling, easy money, just like Easy Eddie was making easy money. So it indulges your cheating propensity. It indulges, engagement on an easy path rather than making difficult choices. So that's what our 4 legs of dharma stand on: not exploiting others, but rather serving others, loving others, keeping others in center, keeping Krishna in center, and not keeping yourself and your own enjoyment in center at the exploitation, at the expense of exploiting others. That's not what we are here for. So that's enjoyer mentality, and that's not only sinful, but ultimately it catches up with you. The bhoga cannot continue for very long. It will catch up with you. Body can only tolerate so much before it will give up. So now I have a question for you all. I think we'll stop after just this. The 4 legs of dharma, we say that they stand on satya, daya, tapa, and shaucham. And we say that each leg, couple of you know this. So if you know, please, I think we discussed this with Rekha Mataji and Poonam Mataji. She's not in the call now, but let somebody else answer. But tell me this. We say that each leg of dharma was broken in each yuga. At one point, tapa broke. At some point, shaucham broke. At some point, daya broke. And this Kali Yuga is standing only on the one leg of dharma, and that one leg is called Satyam. So my question for you is, we always say this, that Kali Yuga is standing on Satya or truth. But we see all this cheating propensity, we see all this lying and corruption and fraud and so much going on. So why do we say it's standing on Satya? How is this standing on Satya? Satya ya truth kahan hai? How do you say Kali Yuga is standing on Satya? So can anybody explain that to me? It's a little confusing, right? Who can answer that? Who knows the answer? Nirbhay Prabhu? I know Rekha
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. I can say something, but I'm not sure if that is the right answer.
Okay.
I haven't heard it from any source.
Okay. I thought you would know, but okay, then let's hear from you, Nirbhay Prabhu, and then let's see who else would. Maybe Sheetal Mataji, if you're available, would you like to try to answer, or Anita Mataji? Why do we say Kali Yuga is standing on Satya? Where is Satya? Okay, go ahead, Nirbhay.
So, I think the Satya is that scriptures that have been given, and Krishna has made so many promises, and on the basis of that, Kali Yuga is standing. That is the Satya on which Kali Yuga is standing.
Okay. What else? Anita Mataji, would you like to try?
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, अनफॉर्चुनेटली मुझे आंसर वही प्रभु जी जो बोल रहे हैं, जैसे जैसे बोल रहे हैं वही मुझे लग रहा है, बस आई डोंट नो.
Okay, anyone else wants to guess? Let's see, Prinka Mataji or Raghu Prabhu.
No, Mataji.
Okay. Actually, Nirbhay Prabhu and Anita Mataji are right. Nirbhay Prabhu, absolutely right. So Satya lives on in the scriptures because scriptures are full of absolute truth. So Krishna is called Param Satya. And scriptures have the power to give us Param Satya. Bhagavad-gita, srimadbhagavatam, they give us the knowledge of Param Satya. So truth is contained in the pages of scriptures. And that's why we should have Bhagavad-gita, srimadbhagavatam in our house. Because that's the only place where the truth currently lives on. And they have that's why scriptures have all the values also contained in all the 4 legs of dharma mentioned in detail in the scriptures. And these values that we talked about, the value of integrity especially, is beautifully exemplified by so many different personalities in our scriptures that you can easily acquire these values just by reading their pastimes, just by reading the pastimes of Krishna with his devotees. You can easily acquire these values. So Satya lives on in the pages of scriptures, and that's until we have the scriptures, the Satya will keep on living. That's why we have to distribute these scriptures and give Satya, give Param Satya more and more, so that this leg of dharma, the one leg that Kali Yuga is standing on, becomes stronger and stronger. So this is the world of Dhritarashtras, right? This world is full of spiritually blind people, narrow-minded people who just want their own personal gain. They want to exploit others. They will follow the path of immorality, even though they know what is right. They will still follow the wrong path, the easy path, convenient path. But in this world of Dhritarashtras, we should try to be the voice of reason, of Vidura. So be the Vidura in this world of Dhritarashtras. There is a very beautiful poem by Robert Frost that I really, really like. I'll say the couple of lines of that poem. The poem is called The Road Not Taken. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood. And then the poem goes on, and then it ends as 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So take the road that's, even though it's hard, even though it's not convenient, even though it means going out of your comfort zone, even though it means controlling your temptations, controlling your mind, controlling your intelligence, even though it means some sacrifice, some loss on your part, even though it means suppressing your ego, suppressing your anger, suppressing, having some loss, short-term suffering, even though all those things happen, but that's still pleasing to Krishna. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 12, chapter 16, many places he says that if you can cultivate these values and you take this road of the higher road, the higher path, then you will become very dear to me. So if we really want to become dear to Krishna, really want to have a Krishna conscious life, keep Krishna in center, life of love, service, devotion, friendship, cooperation, non-violence, not have these wars. Every other day there is a new war going on every few months. Not have these type of problems in the world, then we have to change our internals. So integrity, which means changing our internals, which means making those small sacrifices on a daily basis, and giving this legacy to our young generation, to our youth, of these scriptures, of the words of our shastras, Param Satya. Give this to our kids so that they can also acquire the perfect values, be courageous, and show integrity in the face of all the fear, all the temptations. And these people, when they become leaders, then only you can have world peace. Otherwise, all these wars will keep going on, all these spats will keep going on, and really, the only way is by changing our internals, changing our consciousness, and becoming Krishna conscious. Okay, that's all I have to share. I hope you like the stories and were able to follow them. Thank you so much for joining. Any last minute realizations, reflections, questions? Rekha Mataji, you want to share? Shravani
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji. I got to know some story I can share with my kids. I can tell them.
Yes, Mataji. It's a very beautiful story. It's a very historical event, actually, both of those.
And it's recent one, so it's easily they can Google it and they can see all those pictures also.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes, I did not have enough time to take pictures and do all this stuff, but yeah, please Google, please. This is all within last 100 years, like I said. So, and both these people became heroes. One helped to break up the mafia, which was such a big problem in Chicago those days, and the other helped to bring down, win that battle with the Japanese in World War II. So, yes, Rekha Mataji.
I really love the story, and it's actually making me think deeper that I really need to work on instilling morals and values in my daughter. But obviously, I need to do that first in me so she can follow it. I also loved, I don't know, somebody said that when we are reading the scriptures, we just don't need to just read, but we need to follow them. I know it's hard, but I guess when we are following, we'll reach out to you so we can follow the right path, and same we give it to our own children and family. The
Yes,
story really opened my eyes.
Yes, Mataji, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, please share with Naina the story, and you can ask her for her realizations. Okay, any other
Yes.
comments? Raghu Prabhu, I have not heard from you, and were you able to hear? I know you may be at work.
Yeah, Jai Sri Krishna. Jai
Okay.
Sri Krishna. This is so pragmatic. I'm so thankful to you and Nirbhay Prabhu and other devotees on this Zoom platform for taking your time and making efforts in so many different ways to promote Krishna consciousness. Really very grateful to be part of this community.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So yeah, this is these stories are very inspiring. We should actually on every turn we can learn lessons. If somebody is looking for lessons, Krishna has scattered them all around. There are inspirational people in our life, especially many devotees. Very inspirational life they lead. We should stay in their association so we can imbibe some of their values. But we'll stop here for today and join on Sunday. Please join on Sunday. Very important verse 18.66. It will take at least 2 sessions to cover. We have to really break it down because this is it. 18.66 is the Sar of Bhagavad Gita. So please do join. We'll stop for today. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate each and every one of your association. Vancha kaltarupescha kripa sindhuvevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Jagadguru Srila
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Ki jai.
Jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
All glories to Guru and Varanga.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.